since the March 2020 ceasefire agreement between Russia and Turkey, which froze the conflict lines in Syria. Jawlani began to focus on state building projects and institution building in the areas that HTS controlled by that time in northwest Syria, in parts of northern Idlib province and western Aleppo province. He believed that if they built their institutions well and reformed them, that by the time that there would be another opportunity to potentially take over territory, as we're now seeing, that this would prime themselves for being relatively successful. And thus far, we have seen this play out. So they've been able to consolidate control relatively quickly as well. And this is because of the different governance structures that has been set up, as well as nurtured and matured over the last few years. A lot of it's based off of lessons learned. One of the things that we've seen is that the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the earthquake in southern Turkey and northern Syria in early 2023, as well as clashes with other rebel groups, they were able to learn from having to mobilize resources very quickly. The way that this society is essentially set up is that you have the military apparatus and Jawlani being the overall leader of everything, but you also have this civilian-led technocratic government that's involved in day-to-day politics, which is called the Syrian Salvation Government. And it has a series of ministries, offices, directorates, and it deals with all types of issues related to life in the society that HTS has been controlling, dealing with things over the last few years. Another thing that happened in the last year, actually, was a protest movement against them due to activists viewing them as not being inclusive enough in their governance, or that Jawlani was too strong in its power. They did implement a number of reforms which provided impetus for more people to be involved in the political process, as well as rescinding certain things that were unpopular with people. One of the things that we've also seen is that there's been greater outreach to minorities over the last couple of years by Jawlani and the group itself in terms of meeting with Christians and Druze. While there are some grievances that remain, such as, especially amongst the Druze, houses stolen originally by foreign fighters, relatively speaking, their situation is better now than it was back when HTS was Jabhat al-Nusra and they were trying to forcibly convert these people to Sunni Islam. Sunnis that have grievances against HTS themselves, where activists have been imprisoned and there have been cases of torture related to this. You do have women being a part of society. They're outside all the time. They're part of school. They are able to, be educated through graduate school programs. Many of them are part of the medical school in Idlib University, as well as a part of the workforce. It's a complicated case, and that's why one of the ways I describe this group is that they've essentially gone from a global jihadi group to essentially a local regime where they do have these authoritarian tendencies and in some ways mimic some of the ways one might see other Arab regimes in the broader Middle East and North Africa. But they definitely have nothing to do with or related to their past affiliations with the Islamic State or Al-Qaeda.